We put our first data center on the moon last February in 2024. Sold out. State of Florida was our main customer. Our next one is getting ready to launch at the end of February 2025, in just a couple of days. That's sold out. We're in revenue. The demand to be found is incredible.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Nick Sorrentino, and welcome to the Liberty Ventures Project Profile Series, where we talk with entrepreneurs and innovators about their projects. We are very pleased to talk with Christopher Stott of Lonestar Data Holdings. He has an amazing story and an amazing company, and we are looking forward to hearing all about it. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing well, Nick. Thank you for having me today, and love Liberty Ventures. I became an American citizen for just this reason. Thank you for
God bless
having me.
America.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Amen.
We were speaking briefly a little bit before we started recording, and you were telling me about your amazing company. Can you give us just an outline of what it is that you do, your mission, and what you've achieved?
Thank you. Lonestar, we put data centers on the moon. It's meant to catch your attention. Our market is terrestrial. It's continuity of operations, disaster recovery, day-to-day business needs, and enterprise and governments for backing up data, living, breathing, bright data. We put our first data center on the moon last February in 2024. Sold out. State of Florida was our main customer. Our next one is getting ready to launch at the end of February 2025, in just a couple of days. That's sold out. We're in revenue. The demand to be found is incredible. And all we're doing is using Earth's largest satellite, the moon, the one you see in the sky up there every day, and using it as a very remote hard drive. Free cooling, free energy, but a huge demand. We've even had one of our customers come through and reserve more than half of our future capacity. It's just the idea of data, keeping it nice and safe.
That's pretty incredible. And on the moon, I imagine that could be a pretty good place to put your data, in terms of security in a lot of respects. So tell me about that. Tell me about the progress. Tell me about that first launch.
Oh, that first launch was amazing. That happened on February the 15th, Ernest Shackleton's birthday. We were flying as a payload with Intuitive Machines, an American company, flying on an American rocket, SpaceX, Falcon 9. We launched from Cape Canaveral. We had a lot of our customers there, our team, and we were going to the South Pole of the moon, and it worked. Everything was great. We tested en route to the moon. We transmitted everything backwards and forwards. This was a full operational data center. We actually transmitted, or we chose, the first ever document in history to be transmitted off-planet for storage was the Declaration of Independence. And we preloaded the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, very important, and we transmitted that back. And someone said, "Why are you doing that? It won't upset the Chinese." And we're like, yeah, we damn well hope so. I mean, this is about liberty, right? This is about freedom, shining a light in the darkness, and also doing very well by doing so, and serving a fantastic terrestrial market and a need that we have down here.
Well, let's talk about doing well. What do you anticipate in the years to come with your business?
It's going to sound strange to talk about this, but we look at ourselves as being the world's first data bank. This idea being that data is fragile, it's agile, and leveraging existing rules and regulations, and we checked with the regulators in space on data sovereignty. Data needs a passport these days. We can actually provide the ability to every nation, every corporation, every state, every major data provider in the world, the ability to back up living, breathing data, and do so within data sovereignty, and do it free cooling, free energy, and do it in a very environmentally effective way, but do it with absolute forethought, and in essence, create the first ever bank in the world. We're just finishing out our Series A. Our seed was oversubscribed. It was a 5 million seed. We were oversubscribed there. Fantastic investors there. And as we go forward in our Series A, we're 75% into our Series A. Backswing Ventures is our lead. And you'll find that our existing partners and customers and investors are all former military, former government on both sides of the Atlantic, and also people who are passionate about using the final frontier to protect our cyber frontier. No more libraries of Alexandria. Certainly not a 21st century version. That would not be good. But that's what we're doing. And I would suggest that This next raise will put us in a $90 million valuation, roughly, depending on the investors and all that good stuff. The one after that should take us to over $1 billion. And then we're just beginning.
That is pretty exciting. It's like you're embarking on an unlimited frontier or something,
Who'd have thought? Leveraging 60 years of the investment in our space programs and satellite communications and 60 years of Silicon Valley and just bringing the two together to meet this massive terrestrial demand. How massive is that demand? It blew my mind. I had to look up this number. I'm not ashamed to admit this. Every day, the human race creates 2.5 quintillion bytes of new information, more than yesterday. And it's doubling every 2 years. It's accelerating even with large language models and AI. And about 63% of that, well, it is 63%, sorry, is regulated data. It needs to be stored and kept for regulations, compliance, and more. That's our marketplace. That's 2.5 quintillion. I know you've already done the math.
Oh, I have.
Well, you've already done the math. So that's 1,000 petabytes a day. That's 1 million MacBook Pros every 24 hours. And that clock goes 1 second past midnight and open the next 1 million MacBook Pro boxes. It's an exabyte a day. And this is just the beginning. I'm like, I don't know. We can never meet that demand. All right? So this is why we're premium data focused. We're continuity of operations for different governments. But I've been fortunate that it's not me. It's my team who are doing this. And I'll chat about them in a second, but that's what we're doing. This is just terrestrial demand met with existing technology, and we've got customers biting our hands off in a great way.
That is excellent. You mentioned your team. Tell us about your team.
I mean, I've always learned to be the dumbest person in the room. Right? I've spent 30 years in and out of the different space programs and satellite communications, and I love this industry. It's passionate people doing amazing things to make life better down here. But if you walk in that room and you're the smartest person in the room, you've failed. We were always taught, surround yourself with incredible people and give them the goal, and then delegate, and then get the heck out of the way. Make sure they have food and coffee and they're well looked after. That's it. So my chief operating officer is Dr. Mark Matosian, former US CEO of ISI, the synthetic aperture radar company. Before that, he was at Google working at Wallet and Android. And more importantly, before that, was their global data center architect. Fantastic guy, PhD in orbital mechanics, amazing brain. My president and chief revenue officer, Steve Isley, joined us from Virgin Orbit, where he ran all their global sales. He was at Airbus before that, doing global satellites. There's nothing he doesn't know about satellite launch and running companies. He's fantastic. My CFO, Carol Goldstein, oh my goodness. First ever woman VP at Morgan Stanley in the 80s. I mean, just a strong, powerful woman. Lawyer, accountant, ran all global telecoms investing at AB and AMRO, created the satellite finance unit too at ING and at Morgan's. I mean, she's way overqualified for us, and she's there. She's amazing. And then I've got my chief engineer at a Draper and Honeywell, James Bones Montante. He did stuff in life he still can't tell us about. It was so classified. And my chief data officer, Will Hawkins, former US Army Reserve, who actually literally helped get Morgan Stanley up and running after 9/11. 17 years with Commvault, the premier enterprise level company doing disaster recovery and moving data around the world. And this is just the beginning for us. And they're going to build out that team with this raise. We're doing a capital effort. We just chose a company called Sidus to go build our next satellite for us, a 15 petabyte beast of a satellite that's going to orbit the moon in sunlight 24 hours a day. And that's already sold out. And I'm like going, oh no. So we're going, the next one after that's 30 petabytes. But we can do that. Phison and others are good partners. And it helps us. So Elon, thank you for building the rockets. Mr. Jeff, thank you for building the rockets, right? Thank you, KS at Phison, for building the storage. Thank you, everyone in the world, for generating all this data. Thank you, regulators, for regulating it. All we're doing is putting ourselves in front of that huge tsunami of need and meeting it.
So you're literally riding a cosmic data wave.
Yes, that's how it feels. This massive tsunami of cosmic data, and we're like on a tiny little surfboard, all of us like paddling like crazy, looking over our shoulder, like, oh. I mean, it's huge, right? It's huge, and we have competitors, which is a good thing, the Burger King effect. But it's really. But I tell you what, it's interesting. When people first hear this, they either get it or they don't, and the ones who get it, sadly, are the ones who've suffered a data loss. Mm-hmm. The governments or corporations, and they go, oh my gosh, we need this.
Mhm.
One of our customers, who's an amazing customer, we're under lots of non-disclosures, but one of the amazing customers came to us and said, first two questions, how much capacity do you have and how soon can we have it?
Mm.
And that was within 5 minutes of us talking to them. And we
That's
were
not a
like,
bad situation to be in.
not a bad situation, right? And yet you go to other people like, oh, well, I just keep a thumb drive in a taxi and have it run around LA and do these things. And I'm like, oh, they either get it or they don't. But that's okay. That's the market. It's not so much disruptive. We're not looking to replace data centers on Earth. I mean, those data centers on Earth are like multiplying like you wouldn't believe. We're looking just to back them up, to make them more resilient, to add a 9 to their resiliency. Yeah.
It's like you have like back in the old days, you had the little hard drive, on your computer. You just put up on the moon, right? Keep things
That's
safe.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nick, so when I look at the moon, right, in my crazy mind, I look up at the moon and all I see is this massive hard drive. And now, Mark, I said, my chief officer, yeah, he worked. I know it's very like the moon in your eye, like a great pizza pie, right? And he worked on Android, so sometimes I'll say I just see the moon as a massive iPhone, and he flinches. He goes, no, it's an Android. I said, quite right. But no, but that's just it. I mean, it's purpose built. Astronaut Nicole Stott, similar last name. I imagine Nikki's actually very fortunate to be married to Nicole. She's my best friend and amazing. She actually said it best. She said the moon is so good for data storage. If it wasn't there, we'd have to build it. It's just far enough away that we have line of sight comms to the Earth. We encrypt everything, but it's far enough away that latency, because we're not doing like microsurgery and live, we're data storage. That latency means that we're more secure. We don't use TCP/IP. There's all these engineering protocols. It works wonders. And so, we're flying helicopters on Mars at the moment as a nation, right? Using Snapdragon chip, basically using an Android phone.
It's
Snapdragon chip, right? This is what American entrepreneurs can do.
That's right.
This is leveraging the final frontier to protect the cyber frontier.
Excellent. Well, I think that's a great spot to stop. But before we go, can you please tell everyone where they can contact you? We're going to be talking to folks in our network, and we want them to know where to find you.
Thank you. And please contact myself or any of my team with any question anytime. LinkedIn, Chris Stott, Stott, or at our website, Lonestar Lunar, Lunar, lonestarlunar.com. And it's my first name, Chris, at Lonestar Lunar, Mark at Lonestar Lunar, Carol at Lonestar Lunar, etc., etc.
And we'll include links and
please do.
And all that data for everybody watching. Well, I have to say, this has been a great conversation. It's a full moon tonight, and so when I go take the dogs for a walk, I'll be looking up there and thinking of you today. So,
well, thank you. When you look at the southern tip.
okay.
And know that American entrepreneurs were the first to go back after Apollo. China's up there doing naughty things, but it was American entrepreneurs who went back for the first time ever. And we soft landed last February, and another one's coming up. And even last night, kudos to the team at Firefly, the Blue Ghost. Off they go again. First time for them to the moon. I mean, this is like it's like one went, and then two went, and then three went, and now the whole. It's like a fleet of entrepreneurs headed to the moon right now.
Well, that is a beautiful image. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to communicating with you and your team in the future, and we will be following your exploits closely. I can promise you that. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, Nick, and thank you everyone for listening. If you need to fall asleep tonight and you can't sleep, just play this back and you'll be straight gone.
I don't think so. I think, if anything, I'm going to be pondering things while I'm trying to fall asleep. So anyway,
Thank you.
we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Thank you.